Tony, do you anticipate coming out of the SEC spring meetings that the league will say this is the college football playoff we support?
Uh, no, because I think they've got some meetings they want to still have, but I don't think we're going to get it resolved in these meetings. But we're close. We're closer than I thought we were, based on the briefings we've gotten from Commissioner Sankey.
What are your thoughts on the 5-11 model that seems to be supported by the coaches, not necessarily the ADs?
I was very surprised Commissioner Sankey said he was surprised at the support for that model. I like that. My first reaction to it was, 5 conference champions and 11 at-larges. That's not a committee and on and on and on. My first thought, I didn't like the idea, but then I started noodling down and said, okay. And really, to me, it's real simple. If you're in the SEC, it's going to be a 16-team tournament. We know that, 16-team format.
And so you're confident of that versus 14?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I am, based on all the feedback that I'm getting. And here's the thing, Jimmy, is that the SEC had 6 of the top 15 teams last year. Do the math.
Yes.
And when Commissioner Sankey brought up to us yesterday that, when you look at it, having those 4 automatic qualifiers locked in really could hurt the SEC because they could get as many as 5 or 6. Yeah. So I like that format.
Rick Terry Jewelry Designs voted the best and favored jeweler every year. These folks are real jewelers, master craftsmen, quality jewelry, unique designs, smart designs, very knowledgeable, friendly, and helpful. Serving West Knoxville for 39 years. We want to be your jeweler. Fleet Tire has been serving Knoxville's tire needs for over 40 years with the best quality tires available, including Michelin and Bridgestone. Owned and operated by Tennessee grads, their tires may not be orange, but their blood sure runs orange. For the best tires made with the best prices, see Fleet Tire.
I like it.
Now, athletic directors seem to favor the 4 automatic qualifiers and going to a 9-game SEC schedule. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I remember asking Scott Strickland that question yesterday, just to say, so you're saying you can't go to 9 unless you get the 4 automatics. And I don't believe that. I think there's a way to do it. But I understand what the ADs are thinking that doesn't provide enough cover for their teams. But I just think that the 5+11 model really answers a lot of questions. And quite honestly, this, Jimmy, is there's a lot of pushback on giving the SEC and the Big Ten 4 before we play one football game.
Right.
And I can understand that you need to earn your way into the field. And I think the 5+11 format, you do all those things. You give the SEC the opportunity and the Big Tens the opportunity they want. And I think that's going to gain some momentum.
Well, recent history tells you that the 5-11 model, you got 1 automatic qualifier there.
Right.
And with the at-large situations, you mentioned they could have had 6 total teams in it a year ago. Right. Percentages suggest you're going to have at least 4 every year, right?
And that's why when Commissioner Sankey talks about, do you drill down in the numbers, okay? At first, 4 automatic qualifiers, we're golden. Well, wait a minute. Drill down into the numbers. What did the rankings actually show? And the rankings show that the SEC had 6 of the top 15, which means they get 5 and maybe 6 in the tournament. So.
It's hard to get anybody here to say directly that strength of schedule was ignored on the College Football Selection Committee. But do you think primarily that it was, that they didn't put enough emphasis on strength of schedule last year?
Well, I don't think they ignored it, but I think they should have put more strength.
More emphasis
on it, yeah. Because look, let's be honest. The SEC looks at their conference and they look at the Big 12 conference or the ACC and goes, "We're not playing the same game," and that's why they were so upset last year when those SEC teams didn't go in. Now, those SEC teams that didn't get in lost 3 games each. Right. I understand that, but the SEC plays a very, very difficult schedule. I think that's got to be weighed in. So I wouldn't say they ignored it, Jimmy. I just think they should have emphasized it a little bit more than they did.
So as far as the 9-game SEC schedule, do you think that's tied in any way to the additional revenue that ESPN appears willing to pay?
Yes, I think these discussions that we've been having really are about the SEC being able to get to a certain number that they're going to need from ESPN in order to make the ninth conference game worthwhile. Because you do give up something going to a non-conference game. It's going to impact your schedule. I don't think there'll be as many Clemson LSU's which are games I love to see. I'm a proponent of the 9-game conference schedule because what it does, the 9-game conference schedule allows you to keep the secondary rivalries. We talked about secondary rivalries yesterday. In my part of the world, it's Auburn, Georgia. People in my part of the world, Auburn, Georgia is one of my favorite. Alabama, Tennessee. You don't play that game every year. Now, yesterday, Commissioner Sankey said, well, no, we can find ways to, in an 8-game model, we can find ways to protect those. Well, okay, well, show me. But that to me, that's why I'm in favor of 9, is because with 9 you get 3 permanent opponents every year, and I think that gives you a better quality of games.
Well, Alabama's athletic director, Greg Burns, said that if they went to 8, there was a pretty good chance Tennessee and Alabama would not play every year.
Yeah, I think that's true. I know, I know what Commissioner Sankey said. I just think that the 3 gives you more flexibility, and everybody gets to play everybody in 2 years, and everybody gets to play everybody home and away in 4 years. Right. I think that's huge. I went to see Nick Saban last week, and we started talking about this. He said, "Now you do know I've been pushing for 9 for 10 years." For years,
yeah.
And he has been.
Yeah,
he said,
I remember that.
That's the key. That's why I always like 9. Is that everybody? If you stay 4 years, you play everybody in the league home and away, and that's.
Gambusa's Barbershop, Knoxville's award-winning barbershop where traditions and trends blend. You can get classic cuts to razor-head shaves to contemporary styling, all at a great price. You'll leave feeling great and looking even better. Gambusa's Barbershop, where men belong. So with your visit to Nick Saban, I remember you writing or saying that he was not a big fan of the President's Commission, which was withdrawn. Yeah. And he said, we got people that are smart enough to figure this out. We don't need to go down that route. Why haven't they not figured it out?
Well,
egos?
Well, I think that's part of it. And what Nick Saban had to say was, there are people who know what to do. They just have to do it.
Yeah.
And I came away thinking the reason they haven't done it is because they didn't have enough political cover. Because when you politicize these things, you got to have a little political cover. And so I just think it's one of those things they need to do. But somebody's got to take up a leadership role. But what I came away from Nick Saban is that I'm not sure he's quite sure who he needs to align himself with. He's not. Well, first of all, Nick Saban's not a co-chair of anything. He's either in charge or he's not.
Yeah.
And so I'm anxious to see how that works out.
Greg Sankey has expressed frustration in not being further along in this college football playoff process about how many teams, what it's going to look like. Why is it taking this long to get this figured out?
I don't think it should take this long. I think the formats are there, and we can get this done. It's just everybody's got their own agenda, and I understand where Scott Strickland's coming from. He feels like he's got to have those guaranteed slots. Trev Alberts felt the same way to give themselves protect their coaches. I just don't view it that way. I think a 9-game conference schedule, I think a 16-team playoff gets us where we want. Is it going to be perfect? No. And there will be something that happens. Oh, why didn't we think of that? But that always happens. It always does.
Here's another reason I like the 9-game conference schedule. You're asking fans to pay an exorbitant amount of money for the right to buy tickets and then to buy those tickets. You need to give them a better product, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. The cupcake games. The cupcake games are never going to go away, and I like the money that they provide. But you can't have 3 of those. You really don't need 2 of them. So I just think that is the way to go, and the fans absolutely deserve. Well, like Georgia's going to have a great home schedule this year. The fans are getting rewarded for some of the years when they didn't have such great schedules.
Tony, I appreciate it. Good to catch up with you.
All right, partner. Be good.